All right, class, what is going on? It is the headmaster's desk. Thursday night here, 7/16/2026. And tonight, it's time to step away from the main lesson for just a moment and bring things to the headmaster's desk. Now, this is part of Gamer Quotient Gaming Academy, where we slow things down and take a closer look at the conversations happening around gaming. Sometimes it's a community submitted link, sometimes it's a hot button topic, and there has been a lot of those lately. And sometimes it's a piece of industry news, a player debate, a controversial decision, or a bigger question about where gaming is headed. Now, but the goal of the headmaster's desk is not just to react. It's actually to reflect. We're here to ask what the topic really means, why people care about it, and what lessons we can take from it as players, fans, creators, and members of the gaming community. Because not every headline needs an outrage, right? Not every controversy needs a hot take. Not every trend deserves our attention. Here at Gaming Academy, we look at these topics through the lens of playing with intention. It's kind of our thing. Is this worth our time? Is this worth our energy? Is this helping the hobby grow? Is this pushing players forward or just feeding the noise? The headmaster's desk is where we examine the issue, challenge the conversation, and try to find a lesson behind the headline. So let's open the desk, pull up the topic, and let's see what the gaming world is trying to teach us today. This is the headmaster's desk. Aha, here I am. What's going on, guys? Hope you guys like that little change up that I did, the little intro. I've been working on that since last week. Hopefully you guys like that, and that'll be kind of like the new thing that we're going to be doing here. But yes, welcome back. It is another Thursday at 8 p.m. here for you to sit with me at my office in the Headmaster Gaming Academy stock room, right? To chat about the stuff that's been happening for the past week or so. Now, tonight is a chance for you to earn some extra credit here. This is where we slow down the conversation, pull the topic out of the news cycle, and put it on the desk, and actually examine what it means for players, right? Because gaming news moves actually super fast. Now, one headline drops, and everybody starts reacting to it, right? The internet argues for a day, then the controversy shows up, and the conversation moves on. But here at Gaming Academy / Gamer Quotient, we don't just react, we study the pattern, right? We ask what's changed. We ask who benefits. We ask what players are being asked to accept. Digital future? I don't know, man. People are pushing back on it pretty hard. And most importantly, we ask what this means for the way we play, we buy, we collect, we preserve, and support games. Tonight, we're covering three major industry topics. First, we're talking about the future of digital access and what that means when storefronts, services, and other platforms start becoming harder to support. Then, we're looking at Xbox, layoffs, acquisitions, and the cost of building a massive gaming ecosystem where the business model starts tightening around the people making the games. And finally, we're talking about fan preservation, the communities that keep old games alive when companies move on, and the question of whether players are becoming the real archivists of gaming history. I agree with that, actually. All three topics connect to one bigger lesson, though. We covered this on Tuesday's show at Gaming Academy. Convenience as a cost. Digital access is convenient. I cannot disagree with that. Subscriptions are convenient. Are they, though? Ecosystems are convenient. Convenience comes with a cost. Cloud saves, instant downloads, account libraries are convenient. But convenience without ownership? Convenience without preservation? Convenience without choice? That's where players need to start paying attention. So tonight, we're not just here to complain about change. Change is a part of gaming, right? The industry has gone through lots of changes. We're here to understand the trade-off. What are we gaining? What are we losing, right? Who holds the controller when the rules change? And how do we keep playing with intention in an industry that keeps us asking, to press accept? I don't know, man. Pull up a chair. We're gonna sit and talk about it right now. Oh, all right. Yeah. So tonight's lesson is pretty simple. Convenience may be the feature of the industry, and that's what they're selling to us. But preservation, ownership, and player choice are things we have to fight to keep. And boy, have we as a community been fighting about this. I know many, many, many individuals. I don't know them like personally, but if you ever go to any PlayStation social media, their YouTube channel, anything that's official PlayStation, boy, they are getting it tonight. Or not tonight. They've been getting it all week, actually. Um, yeah, people commenting, people like just trolling. And it's not even just the gamers. Matter of fact, I believe that, you know, even other businesses are trolling PlayStation right now. I know some local stores, some gaming stores here are trolling PlayStation right now about physical games. They posted a few reels um, on YouTube, on their social media, their Facebook. It's just kind of funny. Like, one of them was a mom and pop gaming store, and they were doing a video on the future of the PlayStation, the Sony way of like future gaming, and they're like playing an N64, and since they said no physical, right? Like the next it cuts into the next shot, of course, and they're playing nothing. Like they have no controller in hand, no console, and they're like, yeah, future gaming. So I get the joke, right? Because like physical matters basically, and honestly, physical does matter, and it's by their right to show that hilarious reel, because that is the core of their business. The companies right now they're pushing for major control, and not even just from the consumer, right? They're trying to eliminate the middleman. Why sell, and why sell these physical products to the middle guy, and then which has a cost, right? Why not just buy it straight from us? Matter of fact, here's the thing. I believe that if we submit to digital only, not only will we not be able to keep the games, right? Because they're purchased under a license, right? I think that down the road, owners like not ownership, but like access to those games will be limited through a subscription, right? Imagine not paying. Imagine, and actually, it's already been happening. Game Pass is the number one reason for this. Now, when Game Pass first released, we were kind of like, yeah, no, this is a great value. Even I still agree that it's a great value currently. I think it's an awesome value. What I don't agree with is, is basically uh putting a like a gate over the access for this. Imagine not being able to buy individual games anymore, but only a subscription to access games on a pass, just like Game Pass. And imagine if Game Pass is the only way to access a game. Sounds scary, right? At first we're like, this is a great value because we have the option, we have the availability to buy physical, to buy digital, single games that we like. But imagine if Game Pass was the only way to do that, right? And I'm not talking about Steam. Steam is, it's every individual games are there, right? But imagine if like you have to get Game Pass to play games now. Imagine if Sony started doing that. You have to get PSN Premium Plus to get access to your games. You can't buy games individually anymore. That would be crazy. That would be insane. And I would not like that one bit. I dislike, and I don't think it's something that, I would want to push forward in the future. Like it's a scary thing to do and to have, especially for a legacy gamer like myself. So yeah, that's basically the theme of tonight. Anyway, the first thing that we'll talk about is the PlayStation Store closures. Digital access has an expiration date. Now, if you go to PlayStation.blog, an update on the PlayStation Store for PS3 and PS Vita. This is the beginning of the end, folks. Changes started this year in select markets, followed by global changes in 2027. By Sid Schumann. Him. Okay. Senior Director at Sony Entertainment, Content, and Communications. After nearly 2 decades of supporting the PS3 console generation, we wanted to let you know we will be closing the PlayStation Store on PS3 as well as PS Vita. PlayStation Store and PS3 will close on select markets starting this year, followed by global closures for PS3 and Vita next year. This means new content purchases will no longer be possible once the PlayStation Store closes on these devices. To ease the transition, players will be able to download previously purchased content after the closing date for the foreseeable future. As the PlayStation Store continues to evolve and support modern commerce systems, including updated payment processing standards, PS3 and PS Vita are no longer able to support these updates at the level required. As a result, we will need to close PlayStation Store on these devices in the time frame as follows. So it looks like in Mexico, Honduras, August this year already. Man, Mexico, so close to home. Latin America, Middle East, starting late 2026, so probably fourth quarter, which should be like October. And all the countries, PS3, Vita, in July 2027. So you got a year to buy all those PS3 digital only games. Now here's the issue that I have with. I understand that these companies, right, have have resources, have to like focus certain resources on in certain directions and areas, right? So I get that. Like they have to close down servers. Yeah, I know because they don't want to spend all this money. It's always about the money, guys, right? Now, here's my thing. If you buy a digital game, should the platform holder be responsible for keeping it for the access forever? Yes, you bought it. But the issue here is that when we buy it, we agree to a license agreement, right? And our dean of students on Gaming Academy mentioned this many times already that you can go on the first purchase clause, right? You buy a physical game that's yours to mess with, yours to tinker with, yours to mess it up. This was in the era of before the internet. That's why, right? But now it's all changed since they have access and direct connection to you. They want to manage that control. They don't want you tinkering and messing with their games. It's always been that way, right? And we may not have known this for the longest time because back then we didn't have the internet. We had to limit our news to magazines, TV, radio, right? Those specific types of media. Magazines specifically for video games, because video games was not covered on TV or the news unless it was like something drastic or crazy important, like Mortal Kombat, leading to the creation of the ESRB, right? Stuff like that, or Pac-Man being like the biggest hit of all time. Like everybody had Pac-Man fever, so stuff like that. Yeah, it's insane. Now, here's the issue that I have with this. I mean, and I'm pretty sure everybody has this issue, right? Well, let me read this article first. We know that this news may be disappointing to PS3 and Vita. You think? We will hold a special place in their hearts for this generation of gaming. PS3 and Vita represent an important era in our PlayStation history, so it's not an easy decision for us to make. Yeah, I don't believe that. I think it was a very easy decision for you guys to make because you guys look at numbers. That's all you look at. And then you guys go, okay, well, you can save money here by doing this and focusing on this. As we continue to expand the PlayStation experience on newer devices, most of our users are playing on today. We need to focus more on resources. I just said that on delivering the best gaming experience on these platforms, as well as look ahead towards future. To our amazing players, we want to give our heartfelt thanks to our ongoing passion and support, which has helped inspire us to shape PlayStation into what it is today. We are excited for the future ahead as we continue to push boundaries of play. We look forward to having you on this journey with us as we explore new game worlds and new adventures that have yet to come. Play with limits. So we're gonna be losing the PlayStation 3 store. If funny, because on Tuesday we talked about a little game called Death Spank, which I downloaded on the PlayStation 3, and I think that brought up memories of me downloading that because like that was the only way to access that game. There was no physical copy of it. right? Now, if I haven't downloaded it or bought the sequels, there's two sequels. I will never have access to those on the PS3 ever again, and I think they're only on Steam currently. So this is kind of annoying, and I hate it because, like, okay, let's be real here, right? When am I going to go back to my PS3 and play these games? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Or like, yeah, maybe for like a weekend and then shove it all away in the closet again, right? Let's be real. That's probably what we're going to do. But what irks us really is being able not to do that again, right? And I think this is where they kind of meet us in the middle. Devil's advocate. I think they meet us in the middle by them saying, yeah, you can download it and re-download it again, but we won't be giving you new options, right? So you still have your games in there. You can download those games, right? But you won't have access. You won't be able to buy them. So who is that really hurting, right? And I'm specifically talking about purchasing, because we're talking about literally just purchasing games here, right? Now, Sony is saying purchase content can still be downloaded for the foreseeable future, but that phrase should make every digital buyer pause and think about it for a second. Because what does that even mean? What is that like? That could be foreseeable, could be like 1 year, right? It could be like 40 years. They you know how they are with their linguistics, right? 1 year, 5 years until the servers cost too much, right? And by the time that happens, maybe they close the PS4 store already. And that's exactly kind of like what I mean. So what and I'm not a science engineer, right? Or a computer engineer or super big brain on when it comes to like website infrastructure and data and servers, right? I don't know anything like that. But hopefully somebody in chat or in this video that can now watch this in the comments, if you guys can comment, how difficult is it? And does it cost a lot? If they were to take those files from said store and then just put a PS3 section on the PS4 store, right? And then you can buy them there. Is that super difficult? Is that like, is that something that's not doable? It's not like believable. It costs too much. It's like not, I mean, of course, like not profitable. That's all they care about, right? It's not being profitable. So that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, is it even worth it for them because to give us access to this kind of stuff? So I think I think it's worth it, you know. But hey, if they're not willing to do it, like that means it's not profitable enough. That's kind of how I'm seeing that. Not profitable enough, right? And that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. All good. Okay, what else we got? All right, I got another article here. Last time PlayStation threatened to close the PS3 store and the Vita's digital store, the players revolted as gamers and collectors. This is a hard pill to swallow. I agree. I agree. I agree. This is not about just old consoles, right? Hey, what's up, Blue? How you doing, buddy? This is a preview of the future. Every digital storefront eventually becomes a shadow of the past, right? PS3 is the first one, because the PS2 didn't have a digital store. The PS3 was probably the first digital store, right? So now we're losing that. It's the beginning of these changes, right? So that is scary. All right, so this interview was from Oscar Taylor Kent. This is from Games Radar. At some point, every digital storefront will end up in a position where it isn't worth it maintaining it. Yep, I just mentioned that a little bit earlier today. And this isn't PlayStation's first attempt at closing its digital storefronts. Now, we're often told that digital is the future of gaming. Countless games have been splurged onto digital storefronts without even being sold in physical form. Yeah, this shift to digital should make things easier for companies to keep selling products for longer, free of the need of factories, warehouses, and stores. With the threat of no longer being able to buy PS3, PSP, or Vita games digitally, have many players and collectors pause for thought. We have two conflicting opinions when it comes to the digital market, says Jay Sherman, co-director of Super Retro Bros, a retro gaming shop in Nottingham. There is many great games available exclusively on the PlayStation Network that will soon disappear that haven't had a physical release, that haven't had physical releases, like Bomberman Ultra or Spelunker HD. As gamers and collectors, this is a hard pill to swallow, right? Sherman's already noticed that PS3, PSP, Vita games have become more collectible in the recent years. Yeah, it's just they're just getting older. Their nostalgia value has increased. We've definitely seen an upward trend in the retro market for the PS3 desirability, and the price has increased because of this. He says it won't be the case for all games, but rare titles will continue to climb in value. With the PS Store nearly closing, could definitely have an impact on the physical market. DuckTales Remastered, for example, is cracking game, costs around £15. PS3 Store, you had to press physical PAL copy for less than £50, he tells us. Adding that if we were on the other alternative, but the physical option, games like this will in time increase. Yeah, yep, buy it, yep. Now, here's the thing, right? This is kind of a weird paradox because, like, we're talking about physical on Tuesday. Now we're also losing digital games. So, and this is why, to many of those out there, this isn't about discs. This isn't about, like, physical games. This is about control of the market and being reliant on the market. I often use the term like drug dealer, right? They give you a sample, and you feed off that sample. You start loving it, enjoying it, right? And then sooner or later, you're back. You're going, hey, can I get some more? Right? And then, but here's the thing. In the beginning, you have maybe like 5-6 options. You can go to this place, this place, this place, maybe like price them out, right? Right? You have options. But now you're one of the competitors eliminates all your options, eliminates person A, B, C, D, and they're the only one left. And now they dictate the price. Let's just say said product was $3, right? And then another guy had it for 4, and the guy for 2, and the guy for 7, right? All those guys are gone now. And now, the last standing person says now it's 10, 12, right? Now you're forced to pay 10. It's eliminating options for you, eliminating the ability for you to choose, right? That's not good because we want the options, freedom. We want the ability to make a choice, right? And not only that, if I buy something, I don't want you to own it. I want to own it, right? That's the other portion of this. You didn't say this is for rent. Matter of fact, here's the funny part. You go to Amazon, right? And it says rent or buy. So what the hell is the difference if I don't really own the movie? So you're lying to me. That's exactly what that is. If you're just selling me access, right? And I guess if they have to rename that, we're not really selling you movies, we're selling you access to the movies, right? And I think that's very important to distinguish for the smart consumer. Because here at Gaming Academy, we're all smart consumers, right, guys? Students? Blue, I know you're a smart consumer. For the longest time, Blue Riot Bot didn't have internet where he's at, which means he had to be very particular about what kind of games he had to buy, right? Because he can't play stuff online, or he had really bad internet, one of those things. So, you got to study the games that you buy, because what's the point? Like, for example, if you had terrible internet and you're buying a online only game, you're not going to have a fun experience. So you got to be a little bit more meticulous in your game choices. Or if you're on a budget, simply put, guys, if you're on a budget, right, you only have, because video games are a luxury. Let's be real. They're not a necessity. It's a luxury, right? if you only have X dollars outside of your income, you can only buy X amount of games. So you have to make some choices. We would love to play everything, but not everybody has that, that privilege, right? And then tack that on to like not being able to own a game. That's crazy. Because a digital library can look like ownership, but sometimes it's just a rental agreement with cover art. That's trash. Now with this right here, this is kind of it's weird because it supplements that conversation, right? It's like they're saying, oh yeah, we're gonna do digital only. But not only that, they're taking away the storefront for the digital games. It is very ominous, and it is like literally they're kind of like rubbing it in your face at this point. Like whoever made these decisions, I feel like should have just like waited on these announcements to kind of pop off versus just kind of like shooting them at us like each week. It's just getting worse and worse. You know what I'm saying? So it is pretty crazy. With that said, let's move on to the next topic. All right, this one's coming from the Xbox Wire, right? Resetting the Xbox. Woo wee! Now I posted a meme earlier. I posted a meme earlier in our Discord, and if you haven't joined our Discord, please, links down there below. Go ahead and jump in there. Here I'll share it with you guys. So this is the meme that I posted, and I'm pretty. This meme made me laugh. It made me laugh. Is this gonna show up or not? Nah. Okay. Well, let me download it. Jeez. Jeebus. Save. Meme. Add it. Where you at? Okay. Meme. There it is. I know. It's crazy. So this was the meme that I had. I thought it was funny. Sony going disc free, Xbox going employee free, and he says pathetic, 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 right? Dark jokes, dark humor. All right, resetting the Xbox. This message was just sent to the Xbox employees globally, July 6, 2026. Team, we are beginning the most significant restructure in Xbox history. Someone's getting fired. That's exactly what that says. After careful consideration, we made the difficult decision to reduce our team by approximately 3,200 people throughout 2027. This will include approximately 1,600 roles eliminations today. And in addition to 4 studios will leave Xbox to new management. I recognize that a year-long restructuring creates additional challenges. Unfortunately, it's not possible to make all necessary changes in a single day, and I wanted to be direct about the scale. This line is insane. If you think about this line literally says, sorry, we can't fire all of you today. That is crazy. Do they not read this out loud? That's insane. I know this is painful. These changes will directly affect people who have poured their creativity into the building of Xbox. Many joined us through acquisitions, while others were recruited here or sought us out because they love this industry and love the Xbox. Today's decision does not reflect their talent or dedication. Our business today is not healthy. Facts. Thank you for acknowledging that. We messed up. We are operating at margins that are 10 times lower than comparable platform and publishing businesses. We entered Gen 9 with smaller install base and a higher cost structure. To grow, we bet on Game Pass, multi-platform, and a broader portfolio of content. While those businesses have created meaningful value, they did not grow the pace as we expected. This As that happened, our core business weakened and we added more teams, more investment, and more hoping for a better outcome. Now the industry is facing the most severe hardware crisis in its history. We must reset Xbox. First, we will reset our content portfolio. Ho, 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 ho. Jago said, I'm beginning to feel less and less sorry for AAA. You should have never not felt sorry for them. It's just these are them adding all their terrible decisions are finally kicking them in the ass. And hey, they deserve it. Someone on the information in this eye-opening on how bad Xbox was ran. Almost every last company that got chopped had less than stellar performance. Yeah, of course. Like Phil and Sarah steered the company into multiple icebergs, and Bethesda is whining. Skyrim was made 15 years ago. More like they slept their way through multiple icebergs. Yeah, here's the thing: you guys should not feel bad for these guys. They consistently failed you every time they attempted. And here's the funny thing. Sorry, I'm getting out of control here. I would argue, chat, that we, as the consumer, their audience, ready? Warn them about what we want and how we like it, and this is what we're gonna buy. And what do they say? And what do these dev companies tell us? Oh, you guys are all chuds. You guys are all gooners, whatever you want to do that. You guys are stupid. This is, you guys are sexist and racist, yada, yada, yada. And now look where they're at. So, as the headmaster of this gaming academy, you're at my desk. And I'm telling you, the student, sitting here in my office, in the stock room, right? You complaining, you telling them exactly what you want, vocalizing your opinion, your thoughts on like, hey, this is what I enjoy playing. This is what would make a good game. Matter of fact, Blue Riot Bot in chat has told me how to fix Concord and how it would be good and how it didn't make sense outside of the art and the aesthetic of it. He played it and was like, this is what's wrong with this game. But he's the problem, right? Devs are like, you guys are crazy. You guys don't know how to make games. So shut up. Eat our slop. Eat what we make you. But they forget. We have to buy their shit. We have to buy their games. They must have forgotten that part. And for every terrible game, there's probably 3 or 5 other games out there that's the same genre, probably cost less, and they're gonna listen to us. They're gonna make sure we're happy, right? And that's where we're gonna migrate to. And I feel like that's what happened here. Let me finish reading this before I get pissed off even more. Since 2018, we have aggressively expanded our studio portfolio with a number of games created each month across the industry now outpaces the last 10 years combined. Yes, the gaming industry is popping off. It's just fast paced now these days, right? So we now find ourselves competing not only with the largest publishers, but also with smaller independent studios. Damn right you are. That means you got to better yourself with less. It is neither possible nor desirable to own every great independent studio, nor you should have owned them. That's weird. We have also learned that we are not the best home for every type of studio. In a typical year, we lost 64 cents for every dollar we invested. As we reset Xbox, we will help independent creators succeed by providing open development tools and audiences to realize their vision. Compulsion Games, Double Fine Productions will return to management and transition to independent studios with their IP, catalog, and runaway for their next games. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs have entered terms to join new ownership with funding to complete and grow Senua and State of Decay 3. In France, Arcane's management is beginning required consultation with its works council to review potential strategic options. We are also making reductions across other units and in some cases shifting investment to focus on higher priority projects. These charges vary in size across Activision, Bethesda, ZeniMax, Blizzard, King, Kojak, Mojang, and Xbox Game Studios, none of our first party publicly announced games or projects are being canceled as part of this reduction. Of course you wouldn't. They're your games. That'd be crazy. You want to keep your own stuff active. Second, we will reset our platform. We know that great technology gets better when it gets simpler and not bigger. Today, in some parts of the company, work passes through as many as 14 layers of management. Why? Why though? Think about that, Xbox. 14 layers of management? Why? 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 Indie games are killing it with two people. What is that? Mecha Chameleon was made by two Japanese developers? Why do you need 14 layers of management? That's crazy. That is just people making their own like title and like their own positions in the company. That's insane. That is not optimal. Our platform teams are 40% larger than they were at least in the start of this generation, even as our player base and playtime have declined. That complexity has slowed decisions, blurred accountability, and made it harder to deliver for players. As we reset Xbox, we will simplify. Please do. We will reduce management layers to no more than 5, and where possible, 3. We will deliver success through a flatter organization that is built around makers. Individual contributors focused on building, player coaches, leaders remain deeply involved in the work while developing their teams, and directly responsible individuals, DRIs, who own key decisions and outcomes. And we will streamline how we work across our tools with a cleaner code base, shared services, and 50% reduced vendor spend. That's scary. Which means if I wonder if that really means if we're used to making 100 physical copies, we're only going to make 50. I wonder if that's what that means. Ah, Ubisoft has 7 layers of management. Devs were saying they'd have to wait 25 years to make a game as a game dev there, and Montreal bullies every other studio. It's so ridiculous. Devs were saying they'd have to make 25 years. That's crazy. That's insane. Like, who the hell? Why does a I don't know, dude. I'm not a game dev. Like, why? It's all I'm saying is why. It's like, you ever go to work? You go to your work, right? And you're like, bro, what do you really do here? Like, is your job just made up? Like, can we? Well, will this company be different if you didn't exist here? I feel like that is a good question to have. Yeah. Anyway, third, we are resetting how we operate at an Xbox through our headcount. We became a more fragmented team. Fragmented team studios and functions often operate independently, and it became harder to work towards shared goal. We make it right trade-offs and get things done. For the first time, we are establishing a chief operating officer with an end-to-end P&L responsibility across content, hardware platform, and services. Helen Chang has been promoted to this role and will report directly to me. Over nearly 2 decades at Xbox, Helen has helped build some of our most important business, from Xbox Live to leading Mojang to the Minecraft franchise. We will bring our businesses together under one operating model, making sure we make clear investment decisions, learn from our successes and failures, and hold ourselves accountable for results. Thank you, Dave McCarty, who is retiring after 17 years with Xbox. Dave has played a defining role in building the platform that millions of players rely on every day, and has been a trusted partner through many of the biggest moments in Xbox history. We wish him all the best. These changes are about to make a bigger feature for Xbox, not a smaller one. Next decade of gaming will be larger, more global, more creative, right, than anything we've ever seen before. This year, we'll invest as much as Xbox as we have. But we invest in greater focus, discipline, greater clarity, in all service of making Xbox where the world plays and creates. I want Xbox to be one of the most free companies, entertains a billion people each day, and gives everyone the opportunity to create, connect, and activate. Achieve this goal, Xbox, as many right, history. Okay, cool. All right. History is full of companies and mistake longevity. For first of all, thank you for acknowledging your mistake. Our business is not healthy. We were making 64 cents to the dollar in our investment, right? That is that is dangerous. That is dangerous rhetoric because that will scare off investors. They should scare off investors. Get away from our game, including myself. Now, Xbox is definitely going through like a major reset here. Asha, she talked about restructuring, 3,200 reductions through 2027, losing multiple studios, right? And it was really interesting to see that video from Laura, right? How like they bought Double Fine and they bought like the most expensive studio in San Francisco. Like they're like, what are you guys doing here? This is too expensive. Stuff like that. You guys should check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. It's really good. It's in the Discord. It's in the suggestion box, right? That's the channel suggestion box called the Freedom Trap by Laura Fryer. She was at Microsoft working with Phil Spencer. I think she helped launch Gears of Wars 2, right? She knows her stuff. Her videos are really good in my opinion. So check that out when you get a chance. But this right here, man, this is upsetting because you're dealing with people's lives here, right? Xbox spent building the idea that it become this like gaming ecosystem. They bet big on PC Cloud and Game Pass. This is like COVID era mentality, right? So what probably happened, guys, is during COVID, right? Game Pass just popped off, right? It popped off really hard, right? And they're like, dude, look at this. We have the biggest subscriber base. Like, this is gonna be awesome. This is the future. How short-sighted are they to realize that this is like the golden age, this golden moment right here? This is not gonna last forever. Once people get back into their normal lives, people that were gaming are not going to be gaming. That's what I don't understand, right? And this is kind of where the industry conversation gets a little bit more comfortable because buying studios sounds exciting at first, but more gamers, more games, more funding, more resources. But if the business model doesn't sustain this growth, right, the real people pay the price, and a lot of them are paying the price right now. Over 2,700 people are paying the price currently, right, because of their bad decision. But I will be fair and I will say, if your games are good, we wouldn't have this problem, right? Chat, you guys agree with me on that? I think that's a fair assessment. If your games are good, then we would not have this problem. If your games were being purchased, right? And how do you guys get us to purchase your games? Probably don't yell at us. Probably don't tell us that we're the problem. We want to buy your product, right? But I think there's also a huge difference between making a game that is like your game, your passion project, versus a game that sells, right? Like, what's that one game? It's a search action game. It's like about African mythology. Is it Tau or something like that? Right? I think EA has it locked behind their EA Pass now. It was a game that was like announced during like 2020, and it was like Prince of Persia. I think it's called Tau. Let me look it up. Look it up. Let me see this. Apparently, if you type in Tau, it's the guys from Warhammer. Type in African mythology game because that's what they used. Zao. Tales of Kenzera. Zao. Tales of Kenzera. Zao. This game right here. This game right here. That what is that? Somebody opened that, and that's a small picture. This game, yeah, Tau or Zao. I keep playing Tau. Zao. So this game was like Prince of Persia, right? It plays pretty good. I watch people play it. It looked nice too. So let me see. Let me see how it's right here. Right. It looked cool. It's very pretty. But like, how many gamers you think knew about this game? Right? Also, like how many gamers do you think cares about um one, I would say this type of game as in like search action, Metroidvania stuff. Yeah. See, weirdly enough, there was a Taos Metroidvania game. Probably cost less, right, than this game. But like not a lot of people are gonna go like, when I know about Zao. No, they have to actively find it. They don't know these games exist, right? I literally have a coworker that at work that plays video games, but he doesn't play anything outside of the major games. He's not a Madden guy. He did play Call of Duty on the Wii, right? But he doesn't know about these, like he's not gonna know about Zao. You know what I'm saying? Like he just does not have that type of interest in games. So he has played Call of Duty on the Wii, no less, which means like everybody knows about Call of Duty. So he was gonna try it out, right? But like you have to go, gamers that want to expand their gaming knowledge will have to do some digging, and then often is relied on other influencers or establishments, like magazines and such, to tell them that these games exist. But if they're just a casual gamer, they're not going to go out of their way for that, especially at a certain price. Metroidvania is obviously on Steam, but you have to budget for that audience. And when Team Cherry came out, everyone knew that it was a price that no one could ignore. Wonder why, right? I'm just saying it just doesn't capture the mass market. That's all I'm saying. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're going to create this game that's a Metroidvania, right? So you have to look at, you would have to look at the biggest Metroidvania game out there. One, that's what you'd have to look at. Look at those numbers. What platform are you on? Look at those numbers, right? How much marketing do you think there is for this game? Look at those numbers. And are you trying to really put the numbers on Zao against like a Call of Duty or a Street Fighter? No. Zao needs to have Zao numbers. you know? Or games similar to said Zao. I think that's a misstep, or the expectation isn't set there, right? Because like you can't compare the two. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat are the biggest fighting games out there for the common man. They just know Street Fighter. They just know Mortal Kombat, right? Fatal Fury, the Unk fighting game. No one's not gonna know that. Like that is for somebody that plays fighting games, right? Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat are those that like want to jump into the culture of fighting games, but they're not going to start with Fatal Fury. That's what I mean by that, right? So, oh man, creative freedom is good, but creative freedom without sustainable structure can become dangerous, right? Dangerous, dangerous. Also, Game Pass changed how people think about value, because I know I thought it was a very valuable, right? But the question is whether that value is being supported by a healthy development pipeline or by a constant restructuring behind the scenes. I remember asking about this before, right? Maybe like last season. I often asked about this. How do they make money on Game Pass? Well, let's look that up. Let's look that up. How Get out of here. How, how do game devs make money if their game is on Game Pass? Right? Let's look it up. I should put Microsoft Game Pass. All right, chat. Here's some answers. Common ways developers get paid. I told you, you guys are going to learn today, right? Microsoft pays a negotiated lump sum to place a game in Game Pass for a particular period. This gives the studio guaranteed revenue regardless of how many subscribers downloaded it. So that sounds good, right? Imagine how much money the developers of Hollow Knight would have lost, or Silk Song would have lost if they gave this to Game Pass. Was it on Game Pass? I mean, that's only for Microsoft, right? So, I mean, I'm pretty sure they made most of their money on Steam. For any developer, that guarantee is recoup development costs, break even, fund the next game, reduce the risk of weak launch, replace some of the sales they expect Game Pass to cannibalize. Yeah, exactly. Now, here's another fun part. Sometimes Xbox finances part of or all the game before the release. In exchange, the game may be launching on Game Pass, appear for a negotiated period, or sometimes form a platform exclusivity. This arrangement, Game Pass, functions almost like a publisher. The developer gets money to finish the game instead of depending entirely on launch day sales. Payments are tied to performance. Some agreements can include bonuses, payments. So player counts matter. I just said it right here. Player counts matter. How many downloads matter. Playtime, player engagement, retention on other milestones. Now you know why they give you dailies and weeklies to do in games, because they get bonuses for performance. You guys knew that? Did you guys know that? Now you know. Xbox leadership has previously described its developer agreements as being all over the place. Some are straightforward flat fees, while others involve funding, usage payments, or combinations of these models. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a contract, right? I'm pretty sure it was like, hey, we'll give you this much, this much, this much, make the game only on Game Pass, right? Which is not a bad deal. I'm just saying, right? I think it's good for those that are like, looking to get a head start on it, especially if they're an unlimited budget. Now, extra sales outside of Game Pass. A game being included does not necessarily prevent people from buying it. Developers may still earn money, though. Steam, PlayStation Switch, on the other storefront sales, Xbox purchases by non subscribers, purchases after the games leave Game Pass. Interesting. Discounted purchases from subscribers who want to keep it. Microsoft has said Game Pass often gains substantially more engagement after entering the service. Xbox also claims Game Pass members spend overall than non-subscribers. Yeah, no shit. Although those are Microsoft's own platform-wide statistics and won't apply equally to every game. DLC expansions and microtransactions. The base game may effectively become the advertisement. Player discovers the game through Game Pass and then purchases DLC. Microsoft takes its normal storefront share, while the remaining revenue goes to the publisher according to its usual agreements. Imagine an indie game normally sells for $25. Microsoft might offer the publisher $2 million guaranteed for a 12-month Game Pass agreement and additional performance bonuses. Those performance bonuses are like game time, player count, etc., right? Permission to continue selling the game every. That is, imagine that. They're like, by the way, part of the deal is you can't sell this game anywhere else, right? But now they're like, they could be like, okay, but after a year, you can sell it on PlayStation. Exclusivity rights. Full revenue opportunities from DLC and expansions. Oh, okay, so that could be part of the agreement. All right, we'll give you this, but then for DLC and expansions, you'll get 100% of those. That's okay. They're not choking devs on Game Pass. It seems pretty fair. That studio should have, or dev should have, a good lawyer. That's all I'm saying. All right, a good negotiator. The developer accepts because the guaranteed 2 million removes much of the launch risk. Microsoft accepts because that game gives people another reason to subscribe. Yeah, okay, it's an even trade. For a third-party game, Microsoft usually pays the publisher through a negotiated licensing funding agreement. For a Microsoft owned game, such as one produced by Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, or Activision, there may not be a conventional licensing payment because Microsoft is effectively moving money in its own organization and measuring the game's value through subscriptions, engagement, retention, add-on sales, and the broader Xbox ecosystem. That chat is why they bought all those studios, because they were betting big on Game Pass so they can avoid conventional licensing payments. That is the big chunk of their investment. So why worry about that when you own the dev studio? Because you no longer have to pay them, the $2 million we just talked about, right? Game Pass can therefore be excellent for smaller game that needs exposure and financial security, but less attractive for a major release whose publisher believes they could sell millions at a full price copy. GTA 6, I doubt will be on Game Pass when it reaches the Xbox. I doubt it. And if it does, that is a shocker. And if it does, Microsoft must offer them something awesome for them for 2K, right? Is that right? 2K to say yes to that. That is insane. All right, we learned something today. Take that with you, however you may like. All right, round 2. Chat, you still with me? You guys still upset, angry? How you guys feel? Apathetic, defeated, excited, maybe? Right? Xbox cuts and layoffs don't solve its biggest problem. What will Asha do to solve Microsoft's biggest gaming crisis? By Jez Corden, published 3 days ago. So this is pretty new. In order to find the next genuine article of growth, Xbox will need to innovate in ways it hasn't seen in decades. Will Xbox CEO Asha Sharma be given the runaway to do it? Look at that sweet purple Xbox. So cool. The Xbox camp of airwaves has always been dominated by pessimism as long as I can remember. Well, it depends how old you are, Jez, because the 360 was a freaking money printing machine. Because the 360 definitely beat and bullied the PS3. I agree with you, Blue Right Bot. I think Asha will return it back to the 360 era. I think Asha has probably looked into she's a data person, right? Because she's a company that did AI, so she's all about data. So she probably looked at the golden age of Xbox, which was the 360 era, right? They were in front of everybody. They were so in front of everybody. They made a dumbass move when the Xbox One came out of you owning the camera and not trading your games, right? And look what happened to them. Look what happened to them. So, Asha Sharma, if you're watching, if someone's on you're watching this, I believe in you. But if you, and this would be so cool. And I think honestly, I'm on your side. It hurts. This idea hurts me because I'm a Sony fan, but I love to see an underdog win. And I want to see you guys win, right? Give me a reason to plug in my Xbox Series X, please, right? If you make Project Helix with a disk drive, none of this BS, and you shove it in Sony's face that our games are physical, you can trade them, share them. We have Game Pass. We have this, we have that, we have this and that. Brother, you will win the next console war. Matter of fact, the console war is dead. Sony won. This is why they're acting crazy right now, folks. This is why they're acting crazy right now. They know you. They don't. They know y'all don't got options. But if Microsoft just pulls the trigger and say we're gonna go disc, we're gonna go physical, right? Not only that, you can play your Xbox One games, Xbox Series X games, your 360 games on this bad boy, full backward compatibility, all the way to OG Xbox, right? That is, you guys will win the next generation over so quick and so hard that Sony's will probably mid-year retroactively say, yeah, we're gonna give you guys discs again. I guarantee you, if you guys want to be in this race, you will reignite. I will call it the console rebellion. You guys called it the console war, right? Back in the day. I will refer to it as the console disc rebellion. That would be so cool. You guys will win the next generation of video games, console video games, console war. Now, you may not make as much money as Sony because they're so ahead, right? But I just have this feeling that you will get a genesis, a migration of gamers going the Xbox way back to the 360 era. I think that's what Asha Sharma was trying to do, honestly. And if you think about it, if Project Helix plays new games, Series X, Xbox One, 360, OG Xbox, bro, why would you need anything else? Because you would, and you have a disc, you have physical, right? You're not going to care about God of War. You're going to care about your physical collection, right? And people's choice will be Microsoft because you guys will have disc, bro. Chat, tell me how that's not a. Please tell me how that's a bad idea. Please tell me that I'm wrong because I feel like that is how they're going to win us over in the console rebellion of 2029. Oh, and Project Helix, $900, 100%, $900. It will be the price of a PlayStation 6, PlayStation 5 Pro. Unless something drastic happens with this RAM and AI, like we're not gonna get the old pricing, right? We're not. We're just not. We're just not. Yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, that was fun. Number 3. Did I cover that all? Okay, no, I'll cover some points here. Xbox spent years building the idea it could become the gaming ecosystem, consoles, cloud acquisitions. Now we're seeing the cost of that expansion. Yeah, absolutely. I talked about this a while back, like in 2020. I know I told you that they were going to be the ones to they're big. They're betting big on this whole like digital only Game Pass. That's why we bought all these studios. We just talked about how they're going to pay them, right? Why pay them if you own them, right? But it didn't pan out. So that's what happens. Maybe because there was no discs, Game Pass, right? So there's some other points here, like for example, creative freedom is good, but creative freedom without sustainable structure can be dangerous. Game Pass changed how people think about value, but question is whether that value is supported by healthy development, pipeline, and constant restructuring. Xbox reset raises the big question: are platform holders trying to serve players, or are they trying to satisfy financial expectations that games can't always meet? You should do both. If you serve players, you will satisfy financial expectations. The problem is you had devs satisfying themselves. That sounds gross. They were satisfying their ego, right? Play our game because we made it. We're special. And look what happened, right? Dragon Age Veilguard. That's what happened. Ooh wee! Did Xbox acquisition help gaming, or did it create a bigger machine that became harder to sustain? Honestly, on paper, it was awesome. It was a good idea. But the talent and the uh man, the what is this? The fat, like 14 layers of management is insane. Why did you need that? you know, arrogant Sony doing their thing again. You know, you can't buy your way into creativity if the spreadsheet eventually decides what survives. Correct. All right. For some better news, this is from The Verge. EverQuest's biggest fans are leading its revival. The developers behind EverQuest Legends are making sure it feels like 1999 again with way fewer headaches. Live service games and the companies that run them are in big trouble. Games and devs are getting shut down and gutted, and publishers' huge promises are dubious. Meanwhile, EverQuest, one of the original live service games, is thundering back more than 25 years later. It was just funny because Oliver was playing this with his wife. He was playing 2, I believe. EverQuest Legends is currently in pre-order beta with an upcoming release date of July 28. Original EverQuest was foundational MMORPG. From the right time, we started to define what a massive multiplayer online role-playing game was. Legends was a reimagining of the MMORPG as it existed in 1999 when it was first released before decades of expansions. Legends is much nostalgia machine. It was inspired by dedicated fans who has been preserving EverQuest for years. Now one of those fans is behind this official EverQuest project. They just straight up hired this guy. I thought EverQuest was owned by Sony, right? Like a lot of their games were on PS2. Isn't the first group of fans turn developers to work when they work? Bethesda has been known for hiring modders, yeah, absolutely, who put unofficial work in its games. Stardew Valley creator Eric Baroni hired one of the game's most well-known, respected modders to help develop the massive 1.6 update. Rockstar even outright acquired CFX.RE, a Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead 2 modding team, which a lot of luck, even more skill, and an official passion project. That's cool. This is a feel-good story. Still, EverQuest Legend feels different. The game comes with quality of life tweaks and new content, but it's made to evoke intimate memories from people who played in the 90s and early 2000s. Legends has the perfect team for exactly that task. It includes veterans of an emulation community that's already been keeping EverQuest alive. Literally, fine, we'll do it ourselves. One of the most emulated servers start only. Yeah. Cool. No, that's great. That's great. And here's the thing, this only happens because EverQuest, who owns EverQuest? Yeah, look it up. Who owns is owned by Enad Global 7? Wow. Now I got to look up who Enad Global 7 is. EverQuest is owned by Daybreak Game Company, formerly known as Sony Online Entertainment. The franchise is currently managed by Dark Paw Games in an internal Daybreak studio created specifically to oversee EverQuest and EverQuest 2. Daybreak itself has been owned by Swedish gaming group Enad Global 7, EG7, since 2020. So the ownership chain is EverQuest, Dark Paw Games, Daybreak Company, and Enad Global 7. Sony no longer owns EverQuest. It sold SOE in 2015, after which the company became Daybreak. Okay, cool. So Enad, who who is Enad, or tell me more about Enad Global 7. I'll give you the company overview with major studios and where EG7 currently stands financially and strategically. This chat GPT just knows the headmaster and what the headmaster is looking for. Okay, EG7 is a Swedish video game holding company. It owns a collection of developers, publishers, live service ops, and marketing agency rather than operating as one unified game studio. It's publicly traded on the NASDAQ Stockholm under the ticker EG7. The company's current CEO is Jiham or Jiham. I don't know. The basic strategy is buy or operate established studios and long-running games, then earn recurring revenue from loyal communities, expansions, subscriptions, and in-game purchases. Okay, makes EG7 quite different from a publisher that relies primarily on one or two enormous new releases every year. Okay, its major operations include EverQuest, EverQuest 2, DC Universe Online, guys. They own DCU Online. Awesome. PlanetSide 2, D&D Online, LOTR Online, Magic the Gathering Online. Interesting. Polia. I think I've seen Polia on Steam. They own Big Blue Bubble, which they created the game My Singing Monsters, which, by the way, is a cool game if you played My Singing Monsters. Very, very cool game. Piranha Games, they made MechWarrior Online, MechWarrior 5. I own MechWarrior 5, Mercenaries, Clans. Fireshine Games, publishing and physical distribution. Petrol Advertising, a game marketing agency that has worked on campaigns involving major franchises as Call of Duty, Doom, Diablo, Elden Ring. Does not mean EG7 owns those games. Petrol provided their marketing. EG7 says it's currently managing approximately 11 active live service games, combining properties it owns with games based on licensed third-party intellectual property. Why did EG7 buy Daybreak? They acquired it in 2020 because Daybreak brought something highly valuable: older online games with dedicated communities and dependable recurring income. So check that out. These guys found value in dead games that were still being played because they knew that those games had some hardcore fans, and they relied on them, like, I don't know, by faith or not. I don't know if they had data, but they were basically saying, like, yo, people are still playing this game. So we're going to invest in this game that nobody's, that's not popular, but everyone's still playing it. So now, instead of betting everything on a new $70 game succeeds, EverQuest can continue generating money through subscriptions, annual expansions, in-game stores, progression servers, cosmetic items, account services, long-term player retention. Okay, so they were looking at the guts of the game and its community versus just like, oh, this game cool, Like, I guess this game's cool if 3 million people are playing it every day, concurrent players. You know what I'm saying? So they're smart. Okay. Does EG7 own all the property of Daybreak's games? No. There's an important difference between owning a game operation and owning the underlying franchise. EG7 owns Daybreak and therefore controls properties such as EverQuest, PlanetSide, and H1Z1. However, Daybreak games use externally owned intellectual property. So DC Universes uses DC characters owned by, Warner Bros, Tolkien, D&D, Magic the Gathering. Yeah, makes sense. EG7 is a middle marketing gaming group, more than an industry giant like Microsoft. First quarter of 2026, it reported $345.3 million in revenue, $51 million in adjusted EBITDA. I have to look what that is. $20 million in net profit. These guys made $20.8 million in net profit in 2026 through EverQuest, a dead game. Microsoft fucking up. Like, this is what I mean. These guys are smart with their investments. Like, they're not brute forcing the industry. You know what I'm saying? They're looking at the situation. They're going, okay, let's do the math here. Like, we got X amount of concurrent players. Awesome. It's going to cost us this much. We make 20 million for the first quarter. That means, like, maybe second quarter they made 41 million. That's insane. That's bonkers. But people get greedy and they want billions of dollars. They probably also don't have millions in dollars in costs, right? It says they have 89 million in operating cash flow. So they're not like a broke company. They're just smart with it. Its operations include approximately 360 game developers as of April 2026. Are they doing well? The honest answer is it owns some valuable, durable assets, but it is currently in reassessing its strategy. So it withdrew its previous financial targets in 2026, began a broader strategic review, announced a larger non-cash impairment, examined performance at Fire Shrine, Singularity 6, and Cold Iron Project, said it expects to present the review's outcome at a capital markets day planned for the first quarter in 2027. Company recorded a 2.5 billion. This is Swedish cash, SEK, non-cash impairment in 2025. Non-cash, I believe, is just stock. Most of that was tied to accounting goodwill and a strategic decision to be direct responsible for future development toward investment toward Canada rather than an immediate cash loss. A smaller portion reflected declining physical publishing at Fire Shrine and weaker than expected performance from the original release of MechWarrior 5 Clans. Huh. Interesting. What is its current gaming strategy? Okay. Its current announced projects: Aliens Fire Team 2. You have my money, EG7. Continued support and expansions for Polya, which EG7 surpassed 10 million players in April. Sweet. Continued development and support across EverQuest, Singing Monsters, and its MyMechWarrior portfolio. Awesome. Fire Team T2. That's going to be me, man. I'm in there. What does EG7 ownership mean for EverQuest? It means it owns it, provides corporate capital allocation and financial oversight, while Daybreak and Darkpaw handle publishing, development, and day-to-day management. So they're just overall they're the umbrella of these smaller companies, right? Their strategy offers is what exactly EverQuest offers: a long-running game, dedicated customers. They're playing the long game and reoccurring expansion revenue. So basically, they're trying to do like if you're a video game fan, right? They want you as a subscriber versus like immediate game sales. They're in it for the long game. So rather than selling you $70, they rather sell you $7 for the next 10 months, 12 months. Because overall you'll make more in a year, right? Because it'll be over 70, right? It'll be what, $94 or something like that. So that's what they're aiming for. Long-term MRR, monthly recurring revenue. And they're a publicly traded company, so you can invest in these guys, but you cannot because they're in Stockholm. They're not in the US market. Overall, my read is that EverQuest is not irrelevant or legacy property. Okay, anyway. Cool. Now, that was a really interesting thing to learn, right? From this whole EverQuest situation. I think that's super neat. Any questions, chat? I got one more article here to cover. Then we'll have a discussion. Right? Any takeaways, ahas, complaints? Why is it saying my mic is muted? My mic is not muted, right? That was weird. It said your mic was muted for like a second. Oh, that must be a different mic. Okay. Anyway, the last article that I want to cover tonight, it's called "They Refuse to Offer a Meaningful Alternative" from the PCGamer.com. Game preservation leader agrees that piracy is the only preservation option for a diskless future. Ooh wee. All right. Let me bring this up. This is basically the other side of preservation. Sometimes the people who care most about keeping a game alive are not the actual companies, right, that made the game. It's the community and the players. Like, are we not impressed by all the crazy mods Skyrim has by the community? Matter of fact, we just talked about how they hire these modders because they do such a good job, right? That that's like, hey, just join the team. They did that with GTA. They did that with Red Dead. They did that with Skyrim. Now EverQuest is taking it to the next stage. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now here's the thing. I think if companies don't embrace that, they rather see them as enemies than fans, right? And why do they see it that way? Which is weird, because you know some companies think Minecraft private servers are a violation and a threat to Minecraft, which is ridiculous because most of the people have fun on private servers. And it customizes their experience. It raises a bigger industry question for us, right? Why does it take fans of these communities to preserve these experiences in the first place? Right? When companies shut down games, close the storefronts, or move on from older platforms, PS3, fans often become the historians, the archivists, and the caretakers. That's what we're seeing here, right? So let me ask you this, chat. When a company moves on from an old game, do you think the fans should be allowed to preserve and or revive it? I feel like, that is a question baited for us to say yes. But companies are not going to say yes to that. It's their own IP. Nintendo hates it when we talk about their stuff. It's crazy. The future preservation is as usual on the PC. Isn't that weird? Because like I saw you guys posting all these crazy videos and links in the Discord, right? And they were all about like piracy and like, oh look, they're emulating PS4 and PS5, PS4 games now and PS5 games now, right? That is part of preservation. Honestly, these companies may see that as like an attack. Oh man, you're trying to prevent us from making money. Well, if you guys weren't such, so tight and so greedy, they wouldn't have to do this stuff. I can tell you right now, I am glad they have emulators for arcade games like MAME. MAME was like a dream for me in my teenage years. I had my like little basic PC, right? And I was playing MAME games, arcade games on that bad boy. Arcade games in the 80s. Arcade games I did not even know existed. Right on my PC. Yes. If you just play the emulated games, probably not a good thing. But if I don't have an arcade anywhere close to where I live, right? How would I ever have known about the D&D beat 'em up, Shadow and Mystara? I didn't even know that was a thing. That's crazy. Like it's just insane. Matter of fact, it took me so long. Like there was one arcade game that I played in the Philippines when I was like 13 or 14, which is based off Sun Wukong, right? And it took me like, I don't know. I only found out what game it was in an arcade game, like only like a year ago. Right. And I had to like say descriptions of the game. It's Sun Wukong. It was like multi-tiered level, like a platformer, but it was also a beat 'em up, right? It operated in stages. It was scrolled from left to right. Like I didn't know it was a Chinese game. Like it did not know what it was. So like, how would I have never known that? Didn't we go through that and tell you? I forgot what it was. I'm sorry, chat. I need to save it and emulate it and play it on stream to thank you guys. Yeah, I basically I want to be able to play a night where I play all my favorite arcade games. UN Squadron is part of that. Area 88 is part of that, right? Definitely for sure. I want to play that on stream with you guys. I want to experience my beloved arcade games with y'all. Right? But basically that's what I'm saying is that like arcades are dead. There's no arcade even near me. Actually, there is an arcade like in downtown and also in the mall, but they only play like there's a lot of ticketed games, right? Redeemable games because they give you tickets. But like retro arcade games, like maybe they'll have a Pac-Man. I think they have NFL Blitz, right? But like there's a lot of weirdo arcade games a lot of people don't know about. Chat, do you guys know Cabal, right? Chat, tell me please you know about Cabal. Cabal is like one of the first, like not over the shoulder, but behind the player shoot 'em ups. Oriental Legend. Maybe. I love how you guys we're hunting this down. No, but this game looks sick. This is 2. Hold on. It's close. You got like it's pretty close. Think older. Think older. It looks 2D, right? It looks 2D. This is like it. This kind of has like 2.5D to it, like because it has the foreground background. But we're thinking flat platform. It looks like a platformer. It looks like a Smash Bros stage, like an old Smash Bros stage. I bet you if you type in like similar. No, it's not Sansan. I know what Sansan is. It was also 2 players, and one of them you could be the pig, which clearly is here, and I think the other one you could be like a rat or something like that, something weird. God, I didn't even know this game existed. It's cool. No, this is pretty close. Let me type in. What'd you guys do? Sun Wukong arcade game? No. So the stages look like Sansan, right? But like not 8-bit. I would be like 1632-bit. Because it's not quite a beat 'em up. It's like a hybrid of the two. Yeah, Oriental Legend is pretty accurate though. No way. You actually had a cabinet for this? That's insane. I didn't even know that existed. There must have been like one cabinet the whole I found it. All right, chat. It is called Chinagate. Chinagate Sun Wukong. All right, check it out. Sayuma Gomaroku. I'm not sure, yes. Yep, this is it. 100%。
在这里呢，咱们见识到了什么叫塑料兄弟情啊！我进来打怪，
Chinagate。
另外几个呢在门口。
Well, this is emulated because it's so clean, right?
这款游戏呢出品的时间
You see what I'm talking about?
88年
It's not quite a beat 'em up. There's a platform. There's platforms.
1988年什么概念啊？
Right?
我刚刚上小学。
That's what I mean. It's really weird.
刚刚
But
吃到的那个粉色的球呢是。
I was like 13, found this arcade. It was like it was only a quarter. And I remember playing this,
发射出几个
sitting down at an
圆环
arcade
另外
machine
呢
playing
是
it.
发射出
Didn't know what the
小
hell
的
was
飞身
happening, but it was a beat 'em up.
但这款游戏的法宝非常的不好用啊，
You know?
放的时候不无敌，攻击力也非常低，还不如上去拿棍捅呢。
They also had Soul Calibur too.
好
That's
的，
it.
清理掉了一部分小兵之后，
China Gate.
咱们见到了 BOSS。
But you see what I'm saying? Like, this game only lived in my memories, right? Now, if I want to replay it, I'll have to find it as a ROM. Like, how else am I going to play China Gate? Right? Do you think they remade this game? Oh my god, chat! If you find this on the PlayStation Store or Steam, that'd be crazy. Like, this if it was there the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Well, you see what I'm getting at. Somebody, a gamer, had to put this out in the community for us to get access to it. We're playing it. Otherwise, it would have just been lost in time, you know, behind this company that is probably unknown by now. You know? So I think that's cool that it's there, that we have access to it. You know? These are the games that, like, history forgot. So, game preservation. Game preservation. All right. Was there any other games that we want to, like, find? That'd be kind of fun, because we still got 30 minutes, right? Okay, so you guys know Cabal, right? Because this is gonna lead up to something else, right? This is actually, this is way cooler. This is probably one of my favorite arcade games as a kid. You guys remember this game? So I remember this arcade was at a weird, like, I don't know what it was. I think it was a ferry terminal. This is the first time I experienced this game, Cabal. My man Jagos. I love the victory run. My man Jagos knows what I'm talking about. Jagos, do you remember what it was called? Do you remember what it's called, Jagos? Bonus points if you know what it's called. It's been a while. Yes, sir. Blood Brothers. Blood Brothers, sir. So, this game, I found this game at, like, God, what was it at? I want to say a casino, but it wasn't a casino because I was a kid. It even has the same, like, victory dance, right? Super obscure game. Look how cool this is. And this is technically a rail shooter, which is, like, dead. A dead genre. This is probably how they got the idea of wild guns from this. Think about it. Right? And I think the one that everybody knows is probably this one. I think everybody knows this game or seen this game. Still owned by Hasbro. It's crazy. Time Crisis birthed from this. Well, I mean, like I played GI Joe, or I'm specifically only talking about like that genre, right? I played GI Joe at the roller skating rink, because the roller skating rink was like the biggest area when I was a kid for an arcade. They had the biggest arcade, right? And it was safe, because in the 80s and 90s, a lot of gangbangers during that time. Roadblock. He doesn't talk. They put Snake Eyes right in front because he's cool looking. Right? Because look, that's the gameplay, which is basically Cabal, basically a rail shooter. Here's the funny part: there's no difference between any of these characters that I know of. I think maybe their bombs are different. The screen clear. Yeah, look at these like cinematics ish. They're cool. It's like Snake Eyes is some dude in a gas mask, which is funny. Or what do you call that? Like an extreme biker mask. Yeah, this is basically Cabal, right? And to my knowledge, this was arcade only. They didn't release this on any console whatsoever. How was I supposed to play this game? In an era of like 2D pixel games, this is like this Star Fox game is pretty sweet. Yep, TMNT is like godlike, bro. Oh yeah, 100%. How cool would it have been to have a TMNT beat 'em up? Or not TMNT beat 'em up, a Castlevania beat 'em up. Like especially during Castlevania 3, where you had like Sifia, Grant, Alucard, right? With Trevor. That would have been a great beat 'em up at the time. So yeah, it's like has this game even come out at all outside of the arcade release? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what we're fighting for as a community. I mean, what else in game preservation? I'm trying to find like a deep cut for games. From when I was a kid, my experiences, the Dragon Twins. Yeah. No, and they switched to like Bucky O'Hare, right? I think Bucky O'Hare was very similar to this. But that was like years and years later. You guys remember Bucky O'Hare?
The probability of me understanding.
Am I stuck on an endless loop of ads? Nope. Yeah. They went with Bucky O'Hare. But here's the thing, though. Right? Look at this game. This game is like this map right here is Ninja Turtles, right? You're going up an elevator. And he also did Sunset Riders. And they also had X-Men. So they had stuff. Right? Even the audio is very reminiscent of X-Men. Oh, that's cheap. Do you remember Aliens though? This one right here? Aliens. Before Aliens versus Predator, they had this game. This game was sick. This is basically Contra. Right? You know what I had to say. Yeah, this is basically Contra. Newt, stop running, Newt. I'm trying to save you. Yeah, but how cool is this? You know, back in the day, right? And Flame was so busted in this game. Yeah, and it's still not out of the arcades. Well, we'll probably get another beat 'em up collection with that in it. I did not know you could move up after all this time. Flamethrower's busted. Look at this. This is like the third boss in Contra, isn't it? Kind of funny. Right? So here's the thing, guys. This is why I want to bring this up. How can we play this game outside of emulating it? How? Was it ever released on an official console? Right? No, exactly. What's up, Chop? Welcome, welcome. You love this game. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, dog. You love this game. Yeah, I'm bringing up old memories. Right. The wall just shows up. Which is funny because Jagos, those games are out on that arcade game, right? So here's the thing about this one. Vendetta actually has a arcade archives release on the PlayStation Store, believe it or not.
Lemonade is changing.
So that's the interesting about this game. So you can play this game on the PlayStation 5. You play this on the bodega? Brother, I played this in so my bodega had a Cruisin' USA and a Mortal Kombat 2. This was also in the roller skating ring. My boy right there, Sledge. So luckily, you know, this was an arcade archives, right? But like, imagine if it wasn't. Though what sucks is I want to play this online with friends, and I don't think I can. That man is that Hawk is so Hulk Hogan. That's not even funny, dude. Yeah, let's go. Probably one of the best beat 'em up I've ever played when I was a kid. Yeah. Yeah, you elbow drop. See that? Yeah, this game felt good to play. The sound is really good. The like feeling of hitting guys felt really good. And each character played differently, which is like super impressive. What's Hulk Hogan doing? Yeah, that was one of my favorite things to do. Hit him with the bat. Well, Jago's honestly, they made this game, and they took like 80s action movies, like martial arts, like beat 'em up movies, right? And they made this game with it. Clearly, it was inspired by like 80s action stars. Hogan, like, probably like Action Jackson, right? Van Damme, right? Mr. T is clearly here, right? So like, yeah, they took the 80s movies and they made a video game with it without having to go get the actual like license for them. And that's what I mean. Like, they can still do that, right? But they don't want to. I don't know. Clearly, that's not Hulk Hogan. That's Hawk. He looks like Hulk Hogan, but that's not Hulk Hogan, right? So maybe they don't want to skirt that. Maybe we don't even have those kinds of heroes anymore when it comes to the gaming and people we want to like add in our gaming. This is why we have skins, right? Because we want to. It's always been that way, but they don't want to say that like that's going to be Hulk Hogan because they don't want to pay the royalties, right? Hawk Huntington, that's right, Hawk Huntington. So, yeah, I mean, okay. What else was there? There was a lot of games in the arcade. Ninja Kids was one. You guys played Ninja Kids in the arcade? Really weird arcade game. Look like Muppets.
Liberty Mutual.
Tough headaches got you down.
Yeah, this is so frustrating. This was a weird bit of beat 'em up. Look at this beat 'em up. Right? This was a crazy one, but this was fun. Yeah, Ninja Baseball Batman. Kind of similar. Right? There was Mystic Warriors, which was Ninja Sunset Riders. You guys know about that one? I think this one also got an arcade archives, which is nice. Look at that. Let's talk about the coolest guy though. The guy with the glasses in the front. He was the coolest looking ninja out there. This is Sunset Riders. Even the layout of it is Sunset Riders. Right? Look at this. So there's a lot of like hidden misses back in the day. It's Zap. What was this guy? I got you. You're gonna sacrifice yourself to help him out?
Go to Skull Castle. Sayonara.
Sayonara. Cool.
Your comrade died miserably.
Oh my
You'll
god.
pay for this.
There it is. Sunset Riders. Crazy, right, chat? Oh man. Like, once this goes away, how are we going to access Mystic Warriors? That's all I'm saying. Like, these games that we played when we were a kid, like, that's kind of important. They're part of our memories. Like, Oliver said it best, right? That physical thing that he held close, dear to him when he was a kid, grew up with, built him as a person. He could now share that with his offspring, right? And that to him is cool. Like that, like it's like you're going full circle, right? So I think that is super important that we preserve this for the next generation. Imagine the next generation, right? Like there's some kid in the future that's going to be like, man, I wish I played a cool cowboy game, or but all I have is Red Dead, and then they don't even know about Sunset Riders yet. You know what I'm saying? Like that, they're missing out. on Sunset Riders. Plus, if they lose that, Konami loses that code, what's going to happen? Like, who's going to make that happen? Nobody, probably no one. So, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Let's see. Did you guys know there was a weird UN Squadron game that wasn't UN Squadron called Carrier Air Wing? Right? Is that right? Yeah, Carrier Air Wing. It's like a bootleg. I don't know what the history with this is, but it was supposed to be like the American version of UN Squad, or the American version of Area 88. Because Area 88 was the where it was from, right? And in America, they changed it to US Squadron or UN Squadron. See? This I played at a ferry terminal as well, from what I remember. This was like an arcade machine that okay, Jagos, I know you feel that you played this on the NES. There's just SNES, but it's not UN Squadron, because like I'll show you. Okay, this is Carrier Air Wing, but it's UN Squadron. Let's be real, right? So this is Carrier Air Wing. I'm just going to show you some more clips here. Right. Even the pixel art's the same, right? This game's awesome, by the way. Yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna go UN Squadron. SNES, right? Yeah. I know, dude. I know what you know. I don't know about that. The game was pretty easy to me. There. This is the SNES version, which is, I think this was also a launch title, by the way. This was like one of the best games on the SNES. What I didn't find out until later was that each character was actually different. I thought they were all the same, but I forgot their name. Tom was like the other guy. But the Greg was I think he had the best. He had like a discount on power-ups, so he was able to get power-ups faster than everybody else. And this guy was really good at the main guns. And then the guy in the middle, Mickey, I think, he had superior sub weapon. Right? Oh yeah. Jago's like Thunder Force on the Genesis. Is that right? Yeah, Thunder Force in Genesis. Bro, this game was awesome. I know. I didn't own a Sega, but man, I sure wanted a lot of games from the Genesis. You know, Thunder Force is so sick. Yeah. Whoa, what the heck? Was it gonna go backwards? Oh, weird. You had a SNES and your uncle had a Genesis. Sweet. All right, chat. That was a fun romp through memory lane. I appreciate you. Okay, let's close it out for tonight. And then we'll see you guys again on Saturday for the Weekend Warrior, which, by the way, in the Weekend Warrior, I think we're going to do Mortal Kombat 1 story mode. Yeah, I think so too. I think so. More MK1. We're gonna do the story. We're gonna start from scratch. I want to see you guys there, right? I want to play this new MK, the reboot of MK with you guys. So, what time? GQ, you stream at a weird time on Saturdays. What time do you normally stream on Saturdays? Okay, let me ask you this. What would be a really good time for you guys to show up? 6 o'clock? So, remember, I'm Pacific Standard Time. Do you guys prefer later or sooner than 8 p.m. my time? Right? If I can go as early as 6. Yeah. Can walk me to 40, 68%. Later? Okay. I'll stick with 8 then. I'll stick with 8. 8, I think it's 8's good. 8 to 10, 8 to 12. If it's really fun, 12, 8 to 12, right? I don't have a problem staying over 2 hours. So okay, cool. Sounds good. Sounds good, guys. All right. Well, tonight, class, we're bringing this bad boy to an end, but it's not the end of the fight, right? We're still in there. We're still going. We're still going at it. We're going to be fighting this thing for a while. The industry's changing, but tonight basically was a chance for us to chat about what's happening here, what's going on, and because like brother, it is gonna be a bumpy ride. This coming up here pretty soon. The industry's changing. People are changing. Gaming habits are changing. Less people are playing more video games. They're playing more of the same game over and over again. That's a proven thing, right? So let's bring this bad boy to a close. If there's one thing tonight, one lesson running through your thoughts in tonight's topics, it's this: the future of gaming is not just being built by better hardware, bigger libraries, faster downloads, or more convenient services. It's being shaped by decisions about access, ownership, preservation, labor, control, and choice. Your choice. And when a digital storefront changes, players feel it. When a company restructures, developers feel it. When a live service game disappears, communities feel it. EverQuest is being kept alive by the community. So shout out to EverQuest. That's awesome. But an old game is kept alive by fans, history feels it. Damn right. And when the industry keeps moving toward convenience, players have to ask what the convenience is asking us to give up. Because convenience is not the villain. Digital is not the villain. Subscriptions, downloads, cloud saves, and ecosystems are not automatically bad. They are making gaming easier. They are making discovery better because Steam has made me discover some crazy games, which is super cool. They can help smaller games find audiences. They can give players access to more than they ever had before. But convenience should never replace awareness. It should never make us stop asking questions. Do we own this? Are we renting this for access? Right? Can this game survive if the server shuts down? Can this experience be preserved? Are developers being supported, or are they being sacrificed to keep the machine running? Are fans preserving culture, or being forced to do the work companies abandoned? I think it's more the latter, honestly. And are players still being given choices, or just better looking permission slips? This is why playing with intention matters, guys. It's not about choosing what game is to play tonight. That's part of it, of course, but it's about understanding what deserves your time, your money, your energy, and your attention. Okay? It's about supporting the games, developers, communities, and practices that respect the player, right? It's about knowing when to insert coin, when to wait for continue, or when to call when the game is over. No, so as we leave the desk tonight, remember this. Read the patch notes, check the fine print, and support preservation. Most importantly, respect the people who make the games. Value the communities that keep them alive. And don't let convenience control or combo you into giving up control without noticing the trade. This has been Gamer Quotient Gaming Academy. I'm your headmaster here, GQAzndood, reminding you the game may keep changing, but players still have choices. Spend your coin wisely, protect your save file, and always, always, always play with intention. And before you go tonight, always ask yourself this, and the people that you know. What's your game quotient? Class dismissed. See you next time.